Hello everybody. So in this video we're going to be taking a deep look into many of these states' congressional districts to see which ones are drawn fairly and then the ones that are gerrymandered towards either side, and then to see by how many seats each state is gerrymandered and then how to possibly fix the gerrymander in each of these states. Start off with there's several of these states over here, plenty of them which they are gerrymandered one way or the other, but there are also several states that are fairly drawn, and there are some states where it's overall it would be fair, but then a couple of minor changes could flip the seat one way or another. Stuff like that. We'll be analyzing that throughout this video. Start this off, we're going to be looking at Alabama. We're looking at this, the way it's drawn here. So while that map is loading, we're going to be looking at how it's drawn currently. Currently in the state of Alabama, we have 5 Republican districts and 2 Democrat districts. Overall, I feel like that's pretty fair, considering that there are plenty of blue areas in this state, and it's pretty easy to draw 2 blue districts. I was able to draw it without splitting that county up there in 2 ways. So just to show that 2 blue districts in Alabama is fair. We have that Birmingham area. That district is nearly safe blue according to 2020 presidential results. And then this 6th one, which contains many of these blue counties down here. This one right here is also a blue district, while all these other ones are safe red districts. And then these 2 blue ones are nearly 10 points blue. So Alabama overall is a fairly drawn map. And then Alaska is an at-large district, so there's no need to go over that. Arizona overall is a fairly drawn map here. Even though Republicans have 6 out of the 9 seats, you might think that would be gerrymandered, but there are several tightly competitive districts here. The first district here in 2024 was only a few points red. Then not the second district, it's the 6th district is very tightly competitive here. Trump barely won some of these districts as well. With Ruben Gallego, when he won, he was able to win 5 of the districts, so typically the winner of the state would win the plurality of districts in this state. So even though Republicans have 6, they just won the 2 very competitive districts. They won the 6th district and the first one. So those 2 districts are the really competitive ones. And if Democrats were to win both of them, they would have 5 seats. So fair map in Arizona. Taking a look at Arkansas, we can look at the currently drawn map as I'm loading up the one I drew. So looking at Arkansas, the state of Arkansas is slightly gerrymandered towards the Republicans as they have all 4 seats. And the reason they have all 4 seats in the state of Arkansas is because wherever Little Rock is, this county right here is split 3 ways, as you can see. And that's why they're all solidly red. They're drawn into the city part of there, and then this one, that's the least solidly red district here, but it's still double digits pretty comfortably. And a way that you can draw a blue district in Arkansas is contain the entire county where Little Rock is and draw outside of it towards the bluer area of the state, which is the right side of the state, which is a very low population here, and these counties aren't that blue either, but this area of the state is bluer than the rest of this over here, and the plurality of the district will come from that county and then this one right here. So if you draw it like that, just like this, have that county and the one below, this will be a blue district right here. Probably a likely blue if I were to take a guess, just because of the red area surrounding it, but enough for a blue district here, which that will net Democrats 1 as of now. And then I will be keeping count of how many Democrats gain and Republicans gain, and then in the end we'll subtract each other to see which party gains more with these fair maps. State of California, this one is definitely gerrymandered towards the Democrats. The seats here are not the most balanced. I mean, I know part of it is that the geography is good for Democrats in the state because of the large cities and this West Coast towards the very west is where lots of the blue areas are. But it's possible to draw several more Republican seats. As we can see here, once this map loads here, I can pull the map right here. It's going to load. It's going to take a while, but we can discuss it, especially where Imperial County is. The way they drew it on this map cuts through multiple counties, unnecessary county splitting right here, Riverside County, and then that one above it. You can definitely draw a red district in Imperial County, which flipped to Trump in 2024, but then also taking in some redder parts of San Diego area. You can take in Imperial County as a whole, and then these redder parts of San Diego, you have an additional red district right there. And then Riverside County, you can also get another red one here. Instead of just that one right there, you can have one right here. And then a couple of these other ones will still be blue just because of the urban population here. And then in Orange County, instead of drawing all these unorganized lines here, have it draw more organized in this redrawn map over here as soon as it loads, which can net a couple more seeds. And overall, a lot of districts to be looking upon, but over there. And then in Fresno County, on the current map, it is split 3 ways, and then 2 of the 3 splits are blue, and that's overall red county on the presidential level and on here. But the way they split it 3 times causes 2 of them to be blue, but it's easily possible to only split Fresno County twice, and then you can get both of these to be red. From this county right here to this, most of this county, and then the rest of here, all of that can be red, so that's netting some more red areas. And then towards Northern California, it is possible around the Sacramento area to gain another red seat there. So even though this current map is very favorable for Democrats here, this new map nets the GOP at least 5 seats. We can't evaluate the way this website works. It doesn't let you evaluate every single state, but we can get a general idea from the way I drew the map here that Republicans would gain at least 5 seats on this map as opposed to this one. So they're already gaining 5 so far, while Democrats have gained 1 from Arkansas. Colorado overall is a fairly drawn map the way it currently is. They have 2 competitive districts currently, one of them leaning Republican, and then the other one, the 8th district, is more of a toss-up district, and then whoever wins that one wins it. So, like Democrats, they could get 5 out of 8 if they win that 8th district, which is more towards their favor than this proportion. But then if Republicans win that 8th district, it's 50-50. So adding that one competitive district there is very fair in Colorado. So their map is really good. And then Connecticut, this one is a good one to look over. You may think that this state is easily gerrymandered towards the Democrats, but taking a look at it, it just has very terrible geography for Republicans here. As you can see, almost every county here is blue. The red areas here, there are several red municipalities in the state, but just due to poor geography, it is hard to get a red district in the state of Connecticut. But it is possible to get a narrow red district here with containing all the red areas of the state. This county right here, you contain the whole thing instead of splitting it up however this does. See, this current map, the way it's drawn, it splits that red county into some of the blue areas. That's why it's so blue. And then if we're able to contain the redder areas of the state all in the one district, it's possible to get a very narrow red district right here. About 2 points red on that election, and then this one is narrowly blue. So it's basically a toss-up district at this point, the way it's drawn here. But there are plenty of elections here where it's actually red while it was blue with the old map. So overall, Republicans are gaining 1 seat in Connecticut, which is very narrow here. And then Delaware only has 1 district, so we're not going to go over that. In the state of Florida, it's definitely gerrymandered towards Republicans. the Democrats could gain at least 3 seats here just by redrawing it more fairly. So, taking a look at the current map, it's 20 Republicans and 8 Democrats. That's not very proportional, and a way the Democrats can gain 4 seats here, they could do that by drawing a blue district that stretches from Tallahassee all the way to Gainesville. That can certainly bring a blue district there, because the way it's currently drawn here, they're just throwing Tallahassee and other counties around it, which there's no need to split up that county because the county itself is not a large enough population to be able to withstand on its own. So if you stretch this area, Gadsden County and Leon County, all the way to where Gainesville is, you can get a blue district there. That's an additional one. And then the Jacksonville area, there's 2 red ones. The county has to be split because of the large population, but you can split it to where one of the districts are blue, just like here. I'm able to obtain all the bluer precincts right here, and then connect it around here, and this one will be an additional blue district, that light green one. And then in the Orlando area, it's possible here to draw an extra blue one. Currently in the Orlando area is about 2 blue ones, as you can see, but it's possible to draw a third one here by containing the entirety of Seminole County and then getting in parts of Orlando. That can be a third one, but that one looks to be a narrow blue district there. And then in the Clearwater, Tampa area, all this, St. Petersburg, you can gain a blue district right here by drawing in St. Petersburg and not splitting over the island like this currently is. See here, it splits over that large gap over there, and that's one blue one. You can get 2 blue ones by that one containing this half of the county here, and this lighter pink one cuts into the bluer areas of Tampa, while these 3 districts in this county are still red. And that's how you gain some districts for Democrats in the state of Florida. And then in the state of Georgia, this one is definitely gerrymandered towards Republicans. As you can see here, right now Republicans currently have 9 seats while Democrats only have 5. That is not very balanced here, and the way to make it balance is for Democrats to gain 2 seats here. So taking a look here, we can actually evaluate this state, comparing it to the 2016 presidential election. The way I have it drawn here is 50-50, where Democrats have 7 seats while Republicans have 7 as well. Taking a look at these districts, they remain relatively the same. We can go ahead and pull up the current Georgia map just for reference to compare the difference. So taking a look here, they only have 4 blue districts in the Atlanta area, even though there are many more blue areas in this region of the state. So they need to draw a couple more blue ones here. So this blue one right here can stay about the same as it already is. Right here, that part is fine. And then these 3 districts are okay as well. But it's mainly in this Atlanta area where they need to do a better job drawing towards Democrats. As you can see here, this one, that second, I have it labeled as the second one, even though it's not the second one. That one is about a likely blue area. Then taking a look at this Atlanta area, split Fulton County several times, so it's not just the blue areas, but it can eat into some of the slightly redder areas. That way we can have more blue districts. So for example, this 6th district here, that's a blue one, and then that one's a blue one, and they're almost 10 points. They're actually over 10 points blue right here. So that's 2 right there. And then this 8th one in the city, that one is solidly blue. Even that one is solidly blue. And then this one's about a likely blue, but since this Atlanta area has shifted harder towards the left, it's probably closer to safe blue right there in Gwinnett County. But then, as we could see here, just mainly coming more into the Atlanta area, these suburbs, it's easier to draw some blue areas. So that's how Georgia will look like when it's fair. So Democrats gain 2 seats there. Hawaii is a fair map because it's such a blue state, and same with Idaho, it's such a red state, you're not going to gain anything there. Illinois, this one has been deemed to be one of the most gerrymandered states in the whole country, according to, I think it was Cook Political Report or 538, one of them said that. So that's definitely a good one to look into. Before 2022, the state wasn't terribly gerrymandered, but after 2022, that's when it started to be so bad. I mean, this one is gerrymandered so much towards the Democrats. We can look here. We'll get some precinct results. It'll make it make sense more. But taking a look at Illinois, they're splitting into lots of these counties. The way this district is drawn and that one, those are probably the worst ones, and then a couple of them over here. So as you can see here, based on the precincts, they're drawing the district about like that, to where they're eating into the blue cities to try to make them as blue as possible. That can be seen here, and looking there, they're eating into the cities all right here, right there, 4 different areas. You can see based on the precincts. So to fix that, you have to draw it even better, where you're not just eating into cities, and then you can easily get 6 red seats, or even 7, at least 6, but you can't get evaluation here. But looking at that, this seat is easily red, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this one is also red, this orange area. Take a look here, because based on these counties, most of the counties are red, getting into a light blue county, these two, but the rest of this area overall is red here, so that will be probably a lean or likely red area there. And then this blue one right here, colored in blue, that area would probably be a red one as well, because most of the counties here are either red or light blue. It's basically how the district is drawn. So Democrats would have 10 blue ones and Republicans would have 7 red ones, which that's pretty proportional for the state. So Republicans gain 4 in Illinois. Indiana, it's possible for Democrats to gain 1. The way they can gain a seat here in Indiana, the way they can do that is to split up where Indianapolis is, because as you can see here, the way it's drawn currently is putting the bluest parts of Indianapolis in its own area, which is not required to. It's possible to not split into other counties with that county, but it's just not as fair of a map. So the way I was able to do it is according to the 2020 results. This 5th district here, labeled as the 5th, takes some of the bluer parts of Indianapolis right here and then cuts into one of the suburbs, and that's a lean blue district, while this 6th one, labeled as a 6th, takes this northern part of it, and then the bluer suburb up here, that's a solid blue district, and then obviously where Gary is over here, in that corner, that district remains about the same. And that's how a fairer map of Indiana will look like. So Democrats are gaining 1 seat there. And then Iowa, this is a very interesting one. This is one of the states where it's claimed where it's not gerrymandered either way, which the hard part about Iowa is that their redistricting laws does not allow county splitting. So the way each district is drawn, each county must be in its own district. That there's no county splitting allowed. And then the current districts, one thing about it, the populations are very balanced, but the problem is they're all 4 red most of the time. But if the state were closer, it's possible for Democrats to win 2 or even 3 districts with the current lines. But I thought it was not possible to draw a blue district with keeping the populations balanced, but I was able to try it out. And I got the population to be pretty balanced. It's not too off. And then the way I was able to do that is contain the Des Moines area and then Ames right above it, all these bluer areas right here, compacted here, that bluer district there. It's a lean blue district according to 2016, but then this area, the Iowa City area, that one, as well as able to get likely blue. So this area would probably be blue, and then this first district right here, because of Iowa shifts towards the right, is probably more of a toss-up district, but It probably tilts blue, so it basically be two solid red seats and one likely blue seat, and then one toss-up seat right there, which could go either way. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna say Democrats gain this district and this one right here, just based on redrawing the maps. Kansas, this state, it's overall fair, but there's ways you can redraw it slightly to make it fairer, but I'm not going to mess with that one because it's fair for Kansas to have one blue seat and then the other ones can be red because of the geography in the state. As you can see, the blue area is just up here, so it's got a blue area there. And then Kentucky, many people think this state is heavily gerrymandered towards Republicans. However, if we look at the state's geography here in Kentucky, most of the areas here are red. Like every county except two of them pretty much are red. And that Louisville area and Lexington area, those areas can be better. Not by much, but the Louisville area in my map here is about the same. And then this Lexington area, instead of splitting Frankfort into another district, you include Frankfort with Lexington, and then this district will probably be either likely R or barely safe R. But nevertheless, Democrats will not gain a seat here just because of their geography in the state. Louisiana, this is a very interesting one to talk about here. People may think that the current map is very fair, but now that I look at it, it's very favorable for Democrats. Taking a look at that newly drawn district that flipped, it is such a spaghetti noodle here. It is so many excessive county splitting the way that one is drawn. You can just see here, it is splitting all the way across through here, and it's eaten up in the blue precincts in the cities. We can take a look at the presidential election here. We can see some precincts in the state of Louisiana. Most areas in the state are solidly red except New Orleans, but even that parish of Orleans, that one is not enough to fill up its own district, so you have to include that whole parish and then cut in two other ones. But as we can see here, the way that newly drawn district is splitting all the way across through these blue areas. It's lining itself up, so that area is very drawn too much in favor of Democrats. And then the way I drew it, obviously Republicans would gain an extra seat. It'd be 5 Republican seats and 1 blue seat. You may be thinking, oh, this is too much in favor of Republicans. Well, part of it is the geography for Democrats in the state isn't very good. The New Orleans area is really the only deep blue area, and the Baton Rouge area is starting to get bluer, but still the surrounding areas are red, so it's hard to draw a blue district here without cutting through so many counties, excessive county splitting. But how we can tell this is a fair map is taking a look at the governor election. It was lean blue. And with this map, you have 2 solidly blue districts here, and then one of them is almost a safe blue, and then this one is a lean red district, so that's how you can tell this is a fair map of it. Well, the old map of 5 Republicans, 1 Democrat, John Bell Edwards was able to win, but he lost 5 out of 6 congressional districts still. But in this map right here, he wins 3 of them comfortably, and then the Republican wins 2 of them comfortably, while 1 of them is lean. So Republicans gain 1 in Louisiana. The state of Maine, that one's already drawn fairly. And then in Maryland, this one is gerrymandered towards the Democrats, and Republicans can easily get an extra seat in this state. The way it's currently drawn here is that district right here, which that one's fine. The problem is this one right here. The way it's, the bottom right of this is eaten into the blue area right there. That's the problem with it. But if you're able to cut all the way across through here, you can easily get a red district here. We'll pull it up right here. It is a safe red district. It is easy to draw 2 of those. So keeping this one on the right relatively the same, that one will be solidly red here, taking a look at the presidential level. And then this one right here is almost as safe red as this one right here. So and it's still 75 to 25, which is more in favor of Democrats than the 64 to 35. But due to the geography in the state, it would be hard to draw a third red district, so Republicans gain one in Maryland. Then Massachusetts is a state to look at. However, Republicans aren't going to gain any extra seats here. The main thing here is the geography for Republicans is terrible, as every single county here is blue. Every single one. Can't see the counties here, but we can pull it up on the presidential level. Every single county in the state of Massachusetts is blue. Couple areas that are not as blue around here. The municipals you can see here. You could draw one here and then cut into the red areas. That's still a blue district. And then this area right here contain most of this county and then cut in there a little bit. You can get you a couple likely to lean blue seats here, but nevertheless all the seats are still blue just because of how blue the state is and that every single county is blue in the state. So that one stays about the same. Michigan's map is already very fair, and then Minnesota's is also very fair, and Mississippi's overall. Missouri Democrats can easily gain an extra seat in the St. Louis area. You want to see how the state of Missouri is currently drawn. We can look here. The Democrats currently hold 2 seats here, while Republicans hold 6. And then you can see the way they split. St. Louis here is like containing the city and then the bluest parts of the county outside the city. And then this lighter red district here contains the redder parts of the St. Louis County and then outside of here. But it is very easy to draw a second blue district in the St. Louis area. The way to do this is you draw in the city here and then contains some of the redder areas of St. Louis County, which still tends to be a D plus 21 district. And then this one up here, that one's even bluer than the one that contains the city, but they're very close. And then the Kansas City area remains pretty much the same, except it contains the whole county where Kansas City is and then barely cuts into another one, instead of splitting this Kansas City county twice. So Democrats gain a seat in the state of Missouri. Montana's map is fair overall. And then Nebraska, overall their map is pretty fair, but the second district is slightly Republican favored, even though Harris won it and plenty of Democrats can win it. But on the House level, the very minor changes they have, where they include this county and then the redder parts of Sarpy County, that's what's causing Don Bacon to be able to continue winning in this district. If you're able to contain the bluer parts of Sarpy County, where Omaha is, contain the whole thing of Douglas County, and then this bluer area right here, then this district will be blue on the House level, which is probably going to flip blue in 2026 if Democrats can find a good candidate there. So Democrats will gain 1 seat in Nebraska. And then Nevada, this state is gerrymandered towards Democrats. It is easy to draw a 2 blue districts and then 2 red ones. That's easy to do. I mean, Clark County has to be split 3 times because that's where all the population is, but the way they split here is where you have 3 lean to likely blue Democrat seats here. And then a fair way to do this is splitting it 3 times, except one of them contains the city part, which that can be a safe blue district right there, that yellow one here. And then this third district right here can be a little blue. Well, this one right here, that one can be red, and then that one is obviously still red. That will be a fair Nevada map, so Republicans will gain 1 in Nevada. In New Hampshire, this one is a very close state most of the time. Sometimes it's not, but for the most part, it can be a really close state. And then taking a look at the way this is drawn, this first district is pretty much whoever wins the state wins both congressional districts at this point. But it's possible to draw this congressional districts to where one of them is leaning more Republican, one is leaning more Democrat, which that's good to have in a state like this where there's only two districts and it's close. So taking a look at 2016, one of the districts are able to be red while the other's blue. We can see that there. And even in 2012, when the state is likely blue, we still have this district right there is barely red while this one is safe blue. So it's possible to do that. So Republicans can narrowly pick up one in New Hampshire, but it's possible for both parties, one at a time, to win both of the districts here. In New Jersey, this one is heavily gerrymandered towards the Democrats. We'll pull up New Jersey's current map here. As we can see here, the state overall is about somewhere between 6 to 9 points blue currently, and Democrats have 9 out of 12 seats here, which is 75% of the seats. And as we can see, that is because the way many of these lines are drawn is unfair towards the Republicans. As we can see, this county right here, they're just cutting into a redder area, which is making it easier for it to stay blue and harder to draw red districts. And we'll pull up the map I've drawn here. So what I did to fix that district is drawing it on its own and cutting into a blue county rather than a red county, cutting it to the blue areas here. So that way I can draw a red district around this area instead of just one right here and one there. Maybe we'll get 3 in this area. So this one right here, that's a red district, and this one right here is red, and then this one right here is also a red district. Just taking a look at the way the counties are and the precincts. That's already 3, so an extra one there. And then this district right here would be very competitive. It's pretty much a toss-up district, but because of the trends, it would likely be a tilt or lean red district right there. The way it's currently drawn is splitting that county, and there's no need to split Trenton because the county itself can stand alone without splitting it, but they split it twice and it's still blue. And then this area up here, you can get 2 red ones as well. This right here, that one is a red. That one would be red most likely. It'd be more of a toss-up type district, but still red. And then this one right here takes in the red precincts from these 2 counties and can be a red district there. So Republicans gain up to 3 seats here, 2 to 3, just depending on how the competitive ones that there are. There's 2 competitive, so it could be 6 and 6 or 7 and 5, whichever. New Mexico, this one is gerrymandered towards Democrats pretty significantly. It's only by 1 seat, but that's because there's only 3 seats in total. So the way to make this fair is to draw 1 Republican seat that's either likely or safe red, and that's easy enough to do. So the way they currently have it drawn is this second district. The problem with it is just splitting through so many counties right here. It is very excessive, and that's the reason why it's blue. But it's easily possible to draw that second district here. With its first district here, you contain the whole county. There's no need to split it like this. This split it 3 ways. That's the reason why. There's 2 ways, but still, that's why it's so blue. Just that can stand alone, and then this third district can be blue, and then the second one contains the redder areas. It could be easily a safe red district. And then New York, Republicans can gain several seats. The way this map was drawn in 2022 was fair, but then in 2024 they made such light differences, but it was just enough to help Democrats flip seats in New York. In New York, they're able to gain 4 seats here, and lots of that is because they redrew the map, especially these 2 districts up here. Those got really affected by the new drawing, because 2022 we can look and see that map was drawn much differently than it is in 2024. So the way to make it fair is this Nassau County area right here, that one can cut into some of the redder areas. And then that district right there is red. Well, that one's actually a blue district right there, but that one can be red while these two are red. And then some areas upstate, this area will be much more Republican the way it's drawn on this map. Let's pull up county results to make this easier. These two are red. So we could definitely flip these two red that are currently blue on this map. And then I can't evaluate it here, but in total, Republicans will net about 4 seats here with the new map I drew. In North Carolina, this one is gerrymandered towards Republicans pretty easily, but their 2022 map here was very fair. And the way I drew this is pretty similar to where it's very 50-50. As you can see here, according to the 2016 presidential election, it's very 50-50, where this first district here is fairly drawn to where it is bluer. It'd probably be lean to likely blue with this drawing, not almost safe blue, because this area shifted right from 2016, but as you can see, it's bluer than it is now. And then the Raleigh area, obviously, we have 2 blue districts here instead of only one. That area. And then the Charlotte area is fairer as well. We have 2 blue right here instead of 1 blue in the Charlotte area. And then the Greensboro and Winston-Salem area. The Greensboro one is now blue. It was red on the current map drawn here. We'll pull up North Carolina's map. I was looking at North Carolina. They really have the lines gerrymandered, especially these areas and the Raleigh area. That's where they really gained. But looking at 2022, this map is actually fair, which that's a similar idea to the one I've drawn, where there's 7 Democrat seats and 7 Republican seats. Then Ohio, this one is gerrymandered towards Republicans, so Democrats could gain a few seats here with the way I drew this map. I can go ahead and pull up how the map is drawn currently, where Republicans have a total of 10 seats. Yep, and then Democrats only have 5. This seat right here is actually a Trump district, but the reason why Marcy was able to capture her seat here is because she's an overperformer. But this area here could be bluer, just the way you draw the district. So let's look at how this is right here. We can actually evaluate this one. So as we see here, I was able to get several blue seats here. Let's see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 7 blue seats I was able to draw, even though some of these are tilt blue. But for example, that 14th district right there would probably be red, just due to the trends in Ohio. So for example, that one would be, or even the 10th district, one of these would probably be red. I mean, that one would probably be blue just because of Marcy Capture being an overperformer, but that 10th district, what I have labeled as 10th, would be red there. So Democrats would have, they would have 6 seats instead of 5, so that makes it better for them in 2024. The Cincinnati area, you can draw a safe blue instead of going up there. You can split it in half and go down there. That's a good way to draw it for them. And then the Columbus area, I split that 3 ways, so that way there's 2 blue districts here instead of 1. And then up here in this area, there's 2 blue ones right there. And then we still got that competitive one and that competitive one. But these competitive ones, at least one of them probably is more Republican friendly, but there's safer blue Democrat ones. So overall, Democrats will gain at least 1 seat in Ohio. And then Oklahoma, this one's a state where many people think it's very gerrymandered towards Republicans, but even though it is like more Republican friendly, we can take a look every county here is red, even though Oklahoma City is a barely a red county. But taking a look here, I was able to draw Oklahoma City instead of splitting that three ways. Oklahoma City, you could almost fit that all alone as its own district, but a couple of the precincts we had to draw out into another one just because including the whole county by itself would be an overpopulation. So, nevertheless, that first district on the governor election, you can get it blue easily, but like in some of these other elections, it's still barely a red district. And just basically what would happen is if that county is red, it'll be a red district, and if that county is blue, it'll be blue. Currently, in the House level, that is normally a red district, except in 2018 it would have been blue, but according to 2024, looking like Oklahoma City would have been a red district, but more like a lean or a tilt red here. So it's possible Democrats could win that district right there if they really competed for it. But for now, I'm going to say no change overall. Oregon, this is a state where it is definitely gerrymandered towards the Democrats. Republicans should easily be able to have 2 seats in this state. And go ahead and pull up the current map. There are many county splits up here. That district right there, as you could see, it splits into several of these counties right there. And they have 5 out of 6 districts in a less than 15-point statewide for Democrats. So Republicans could at least get 2 districts here. There's plenty of red areas to make that happen. As you can see, this part right here, that can be a red district that contains all this red area. And then this district right there could also be red, containing most of the red areas, but some of the slightly blue areas. So 2 red districts, and then these are solidly blue. And then Pennsylvania's map is very fair how it is. And then Rhode Island is fair as is as well. South Carolina, we can look into that. It is gerrymandered towards Republicans. Democrats should have a couple more seats than they currently do. They only have 1 seat in the whole state of South Carolina, and there's plenty of blue areas in the state to draw 3 blue districts. Even though I can't pull up results here, we can look. This Charleston area, that's a good way to have 1 district, but the way here, they cut into many of the blue areas just for 1 district to be blue. And it's easy to draw a blue one there, because this area of the state is a little bluer, so it'll be probably a likely blue district there. Then in this Columbia, South Carolina area, you're able to draw a second one there, and then a third one here. Then these 4 districts are red. So Democrats will gain 2 there. And then in Tennessee, this is one where the maps used to be fair up until 2022. In 2022, Republicans decided to split the Nashville area into 3 separate districts when that Nashville area needs to have a blue district to be fair. It is easily possible to, because it once was a blue district and solidly blue. So the way you would do that is obviously include Davidson County in its own, and then you can cut into either one of these counties or a couple of the suburbs slightly, and that's a solid blue district right there. And then in the Memphis area, you got one of these districts, that one right there is looking to be a very blue district. While this one is possible to make slightly competitive, but it's still going to be red just because of how red the state is. I mean, the only blue areas here are Nashville and Memphis, pretty much. So Democrats can gain 1 seat there. And then Texas, this one, Democrats are looking to gain 3 seats with a fair map in the state of Texas. The way this is possible is these urban areas can be drawn better for the Democrats. They're able, the current map, they're packing in the Democrats in these tightly deep blue areas, while it's possible to actually draw it better for them. Just these urban areas could be drawn better than they currently are. We can actually look at some results here where when the state is about 9 points red, Democrats have a decent amount of seats here. It's mainly drawn better in the Dallas area, the Fort Worth area, the Austin area, and even the Houston and San Antonio areas. And then you could draw a solidly blue district right there in one of these Hispanic counties. That district right there can be solidly at 30th district by putting in the blue area there instead of splitting it however this does right there, because that's a large population right there in that county. And then obviously this district and this one remain somewhat about the same. In the San Antonio area, able to get a couple more instead of only looking to be 3 blue ones. It's still going to be 3, but without this district being part of that third one there. So overall, Democrats gained 3 seats approximately in Texas. Utah, they can easily gain 1 seat, the Democrats, because the current map in Utah is splitting Salt Lake City 4 ways, and that is ridiculous for gerrymandering when they can easily draw Salt Lake City in its own district, at least part of the county, and then it can only be split twice. See here, you can easily just pick almost any part of Salt Lake County, Salt Lake City area, and look what you get. You get a likely to safe blue area right there. That's easy enough to get there. So Democrats gain 1 there. Vermont is an large state. Virginia's map overall is fair. They have 2 competitive seats, and Democrats have 7, while Republicans have 6 currently. And in Washington's map overall, you can do that one a little better, even though their map currently is not terrible, but it's just enough Democrat leaning to where they're able to get enough seats here. You can look here and see that this map is not terrible, but it could probably be slightly more Republican favored than what it currently is. Obviously, the 3rd district, problem with that is a weak Republican ran, so that made it to where it was blue. But then it's also possible to get one of these other districts, 8th one. That one could be closer than what it is already. So it looks like Republicans can flip up to 2 districts. See, with all the red counties here, let's look at 2022. There's plenty of red counties here. It's possible, like this district up here, you're able to include some of the blue counties in the red district, so that way you can create more than just 2 and then 1 competitive one that is pretty close. You can get that one red, and then this one is red right here because it's containing the red areas and then red precincts of this blue county. So that's at least 3 red ones, and then this one remains competitive but probably leans redder than on here, but it's pretty close. So Republicans can get up to 4 seats here instead of 2, so they gain 2 from the current map. West Virginia is fair, obviously, it's a safe red. And then Wisconsin, this is the last one I'm going to look at. The current map is gerrymandered towards Republicans very easily in Wisconsin. The Supreme Court decided not to redraw it as well. So currently, Republicans have 6 out of 8 seats in Wisconsin. And for a fair map, you would want it to be 4 for Democrats and 4 for Republicans, which is very easy to draw. So the way to do this is you would split up Milwaukee and Madison. You would split up both of those areas, and that should be easy to do, which this map right here shows it, where the 1st district is D plus 9, and then this one is D plus 7.5, close to D plus 8. But I also figured out it's actually just easy enough to draw it 4 safe blue seats here. So looking at this, we have the 1st district. It's actually now D plus almost 14 right here, splitting up Milwaukee there, and then you can include Racine County, and then while this 2nd district here, instead of it just being the city right there, it actually includes some of the wild counties right here, throwing those in a blue district. And then this 3rd one right here, you split up Madison half right here, and then cut all the way through Washington County right there, and that way you're able to get a blue district there that is solidly blue. And thing is, all at the same time, while this one is like all four of these are safe blue districts. This one right here, which would be the third district, is almost as competitive as it is on this map right here. It's probably just slightly more Republican favored here, but by less than a point. So this would be your competitive district here, and it's about likely Republican on here. So this is very 50-50 here. And then you can see in 2018, it's possible that Democrats can win 5 out of 8, and so on. So in the end, when totaling it all up, looks like the net change is about even overall, but it could be a seat or two, one way or the other, give or take. But on average, it's looking like that when each state is drawn fairly, the net change is not much at all for the whole national environment. But it is obvious here that several states are gerrymandered towards Democrats and several of them are gerrymandered towards Republicans. But some of these redraws can help bring competitive seats to where they could flip one way or another to make it fair. But overall, we can see here that both sides gerrymander here a lot. And then if any of y'all will want to look at how I've drawn some of these maps, I'll link this sheets in the description down below so y'all can look at the maps, and then you can comment down below. Let me know which one of these maps you think needs to be drawn better than how I drew it, or maybe one of these that I've redrawn you think the current map was actually fair before I redrew it. Just let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.